Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamey Daddy channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today, we're going to be beating this horse again, which is the massive Ubisoft Star Wars game. But we're talking about a Division 3 potential. Is there going to be a Division 3 game since Massive is now working on Avatar and working on this potential Star Wars game? The answer is I strongly believe there'll be a Division 3 game. And I wanted to go ahead and iterate more on this. I touched on this on my last video because there's a lot of the community that has a lot of concern about what's going on. And I understand, and largely we're very, we don't have a lot of information. But as content creators and as community members, what we usually do is we point to different factors. Hey, look at that there. Look at this here. And we're able to come to, in many cases, educated conclusions as to how scenarios will play out. And many times we're correct. I mean, think about the release of Warlords of New York. They had Avatar already on the plate when we were still arguing back and forth if Warlords of New York was going to be a thing in the Division 2, and it was. Even right now, there's still the argument of if there's going to be a year 3 or not a year 3 content, and we still don't know. So until we are able to get any news, we'll see exactly what's going on. But nonetheless, does this whole Star Wars, venture with Ubisoft Massive, does it mean that we're not going to see a Division 3 game? And I think the answer is a factual, clear no. I mean, perhaps we may see a back burner Division style game where they finish running all over the place and then they announce down the road there's going to be a Division game. Perhaps we may see an extension of the Division 2's universe as some sort of an MMO style game where they launch a new city, they launch a new location, they launch new challenges, new tasks, that continues to expand on the Division universe and perhaps go from there. That's also a strong possibility now that it seems like the studio is taking on more. But at the same time, we cannot negate the other potential where other studios who have worked on the Division are basically there not having major releases. Now, Ubisoft Anarchy does have a release under their belt that's coming soon. I think it's a motocross game of some kind. But Red Storm does not have any announced or any planned releases that we know of. Also, Ubisoft Reflections doesn't have any releases that have been announced that I know of. Maybe there is one somewhere. And so when we put, these two studios together and then even put in, say, Ubisoft Anarchy, who worked on the Division 2, and I think there's another Ubisoft studio that worked on the Division 2 as well, whom I can't necessarily remember their name right now. You think about these studios coming together. I've said this before that there's that potential that there's the manpower and the expertise to make a Division 3 game. And I think this is very important that the community understands and we know exactly where we're going from here. Now, here is where the challenge is. There is no announced state of the game so far. The only thing that we're waiting for is that 60 FPS unlocking that goes on in February, which is when they're going to say, hey guys, you're getting a 60 FPS, thing and blah, 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 blah. But guess what else I think the development team are paying attention to right now? Player reactions. Many Division agents and people in the Division community are very vocal and passionate. So hearing this news, a lot of people have taken to social media to express exactly how they feel. And one thing we know about this development team is they are usually snooping around our stuff. Literally. I mean, how do they usually know how to nerf stuff? It's because they're watching these videos, they're reading these comments, they're looking at tweets. And so I'm sure and I'm certain that they're looking at the reaction of the community and they're just laughing and saying, this is really cool that people really do think that there's no Division 3 game. And so I think with now all of the tension that's been built up, the announcement of the Star Wars game, maybe they intended this or maybe they didn't intend it, but the announcement of this Star Wars game has created one of the best ways for you to market a game, and that's in creating tension. They've just created a tension now where people are now uncertain. Are we going to get another Division game? Are we going to get an expansion, extension? Is it the end? These things have created some sort of a tension, and I think the anticipation will be really high. I can almost bet right now that the attendance or the viewership of the next state of the game once they announce it, if there will be one, is really going to be very high. Everyone that I can think about is most likely going to be showing up. Even those of you who said, I will never play a Division game anymore, you're going to watch a state of the game. The reason you're going to watch the state of the game is, I know you say you hate the Division, but you only blew a few hundred hours on it before you realized, yeah, I really hate this game. I don't know. That's some really strange hatred right there, if you ask me. But hey, I'm going to leave you alone. To each his own. You know what I mean? But I think this is basically what Massive might be banking on. I don't know if this was purposeful, but, I mean, I think it's all coincidental nonetheless, because the Indiana Jones game was announced just a few days ago. I mean, like, you really? And then now they're announcing the Star Wars game. So Lucasfilm seems like they're actually having a play. It just happens to coincide. And I'm certain that a lot of these developers are basically looking and just trying to gain what the community is feeling about this potential announcement so far. And so it's all a matter of just having some perspective and looking at what's going on. I mean, if you even want something to go off of, if you say, okay, what are the pointers that we can say we're getting something soon? You have to look at maybe Red Storm. If Red Storm is even doing anything minimal, it's most likely they're working on, the next season and are going to be at the forefront of maybe finishing out the end of life of the game. And that will be fine if that's all they're going to do. But then let's look at this again from another layer, which I would genuinely say is one that you must consider. And I think Ubisoft Massive has reached a point where they've shown their handiwork as a studio that's already established themselves with 2 major IPs and have done a lot of support and have been able to win and close down some really interesting, IPs like Avatar. Yes, you may not want to play Avatar, but that's a very important, franchise for a game development team to close on. I think they are now in a position where Ubisoft is ready to allow for them to, to delegate some things. And I think even if, they're going to be working on these other games, I genuinely believe that they've probably restructured their own way of doing things to delegate the Division 3 and even that support to other studios, because it seems like it will be profitable for them. And then another thing too is, it's interesting to see the way the press, the gaming press, and people in the gaming community at large are taking this news. There seems to be a little hint of joy regardless of the circumstances. And I think the hint of joy is coming mainly from the fact that EA is no longer going to be sitting on the rights of this Star Wars game, and they couldn't care whoever the heck it is that we're making another Star Wars game. They just know that this is most likely going to make EA get their act together, and whoever is making this new Star Wars game get their act together, and everybody can see pretty much a decent, outlook on the Star Wars franchise. I think this is what a lot of people are banking on. I think this is what most people have basically set their minds on, to take to just take that turn and say, okay, it seems like with more competition, we're going to get better Star Wars games. So to think about all of this and put it in perspective, I think we're going to get a Division 3 game. We may not get a Division 3 game in 2021, but then think about it. So if Massive is working on Avatar, that's not going to be coming out in 2021, most likely coming out 2022 with the Avatar movie. And if this Star Wars project is basically in the infancy stage, what are they going to be doing in the time being developing the game? How are they going to be raising funds in that time being? Where is the money going to be coming from? Okay, I mean, you get the point. If the money is not going to be coming from your seasons, I mean, many people don't buy the seasons. It has to, in my opinion, be on something that is very, very lucrative. And I don't think this announcement is something that just happened in one day. I think this is something that's been brewing from a long time. And if they're visionaries that are leading that studio on how to keep that studio afloat, they most likely have an IP that's ready to go. It's an Ubisoft studio. They always have games sitting in the oven. I think this is what I envision, okay? Now, I know developers might laugh. I feel like if you go to an Ubisoft studio, they have a kitchen where games are cooking every time. And any game you want, they push a microwave button and then the game is ready and they pull it out and give it to you. I mean, it's crazy. But hey, I'll get out of your hair. I think I'm starting to get really outlandish now with my own, perception of Ubisoft. But the way they hustle is insane. So I wouldn't count it out that the Division game might come from either Massive or Red Storm. But hey, we'll keep looking out and we'll be on the forefront informing our community on what exactly is going on. Thank you so much for your time and audience. I appreciate you guys so much. Hopefully we'll see in another video. Peace out.